Hello, everybody. Welcome to the channel and welcome to another video. According to the study conducted by Traffic, about 65% of South African abalone that was exported to the Far East in 2016 was caught illegally. The value of the illegally caught abalone to the South African economy was estimated at about 709 million rands. I have made a video in respect to how the 3 tons of abalone was released to the officials of the crime intelligence of the South African Police Services in January 2018. If you have not seen or watched the video, I invite you to visit my channel and watch it for the context. This video will examine how the Department of Agriculture, of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment framed its officials for supporting an undercover operation aimed at bringing to justice criminal syndicate responsible for the carnage of our nation's marine resources. 3 groups of people were involved in ensuring the dismissal of the former Deputy Director General of the branch fisheries management of the department. The plot was originally initiated by one Mr. Dana, who was then the director in the department, wherein he authored a report to then the acting director general of the department. In that report, he claimed that the undercover operation initiated by the police was a scam aimed at defrauding the department of the 3 tons of abalone. His accusations were based on the following claims. One, that the 3 tons of abalone was a lot to be released at once. What he did not say, though, was that this was the first attempt at the Chinese syndicate, and a bigger amount was necessary to catch the big fish, given that previous operations were focused or were targeting the local runners and divers. Two, he claimed that the police informer was a criminal. Once again, what he failed to state was that most informers are criminals. Criminal syndicate hardly buy illegal caught abalone from law-abiding citizens. Three, according to him, given that the informer was a criminal, the proceeds of the sale should not be paid into the account of the informer. The challenge with this was that the use of the police account, as suggested by him, would have compromised the operation, as such could be traced back to the police. Four, according to him, the plan of the police failed to give exemption to those who participated or who would participate in support of the operation. Uh, Of course, this query also does not hold, given that the very nature of Section 252A operation is to exempt participant in an urban undercover operation. And lastly, according to him, he was the only official in the department authorized to release Abalone for undercover operations. This was not true. His role was merely to recommend the release. Due to this outrageous reason, to the outrageous reasons advanced by him, Abalone was released despite his recommendations against, as it became clear that his intention was to undermine the operation. Undeterred by the setback, he approached the top management of the South African police in the province, demanding that the operation should be stopped on account that Abalone was released irregular. He also canvassed the National Prosecuting Authority to withdraw the authorization issued in terms of Section 252A of the Criminal Procedure Act 1977. Both SAPS and NPA acceded to his request as they did not wanted to oppose the department. The next step for then was to try and convince others to collude with the plan. First, colleagues at the branch fisheries management were mobilized around these claims, which found favor with a group of senior managers, or that found favor with a group of senior managers who would do anything to get ahead. They reckoned that they would have shot at the senior management posts that were vacant since 2010 if the former DDG was eliminated. And chances of that plan succeeding were good, as this was happening during the transition from fifth to the sixth administration. Transitions are generally a very weak period uh, where the worst of plans get to be easily implemented. Second, the support of the sister departments that were participating in Operation Pagisa was canvassed. This sister department included the enforcement unit of the Department of Environmental Affairs, the enforcement unit of the Department of Agriculture, the state security agents, and the border unit of the South African Police Services. They also go along with the plan as they hope to determine how the proceeds of sale of abalone were to be utilized. They were of the view that such proceeds should be plowed back to Operation Pagis. Three, the then Director General, Mr. Mlengan, was already on board. Otherwise, the 3 tons undercover operation would not have been undermined without his blessing. Mr. Mlengana was appointed in the Department of Agriculture, Forest and Fisheries in 2016. Within his first year of tenure in the department, he was suspended on suspicion of corruption. He was implicated in irregular award of tenders to a company known as Wiljaru and South African Fence and Gate. These irregularities were reported by the former DDG, Fisheries Management, and Mr. Mlengana had a motive to eliminate the whistleblower. Ironically, SA Fence and Gate was also involved in irregular tender, which resulted into Miss Ngoye, an employee at PRASA and a whistleblower, being dismissed on trumped up charges. The final piece of the puzzle was Minister Chrissy. Uh, it is clear that Minister Chrissy was convinced by various players to also buy into the plan. I know that because it was in the affidavit filed at the High Court by former DG of Environmental Affairs. In her affidavit, she stated that she was instructed by the minister to appoint Dana, and further I was advised that officials in the sister department in Operation Pakisa were comfortable to work with Mr. Dana. Lastly, that Mr. Dana was ideal to conduct an investigation that will culminate to the dismissal of the former DDG and the two others from the department. Clearly, the minister received this briefing in the absence of the DG. Otherwise, she would not have informed the DDG about the briefing that she received, which clearly demonstrate that such a briefing was conducted in a clandestine manner. So Dana was appointed to the post one level higher than the post from which he resigned a month earlier in August 2019. We also know that Mr. Mlengana wrote to the former DDG of the former DG of Environmental Affairs, requesting her to appoint Dana in terms of Section 40 of the Environmental Management Act in order to circumvent the recruitment policies and procedures required in terms of the Public Service Act. From then onwards, recruitment policies were ignored during the filling of vacant posts at a senior management level. For example, the current DDG Fisheries Management was appointed despite not meeting the inherent requirements of that post. When the initial recommendation for her appointment was rejected by the cabinet, the requirements of the post were altered so as to suit her skills and knowledge. And during her interview, her pitch was how she had contributed into the dismissal of her predecessor in title. So subsequent appointments in the branch fisheries management were not judged based on the skill, knowledge, and experience of the candidate, but was based on the extent to which officials might have provided support to the cause, which is the elimination of the former Deputy Director General, Fisheries Management. These are the reasons the country's objective to protect its natural resources were compromised at the altar of greed and corruption. The country's marine resources continue to be plundered to feed the growing appetite in the Far East for South African abalone. At least Mr. Mlengan is facing criminal charges in a specialized commercial crime court in Bellville in respect to the tender that were awarded irregular. Let me end this episode here. Please share this video so that more people can get to know about these incidents of maladministration and corruption in the public service. Subscribe to the channel and share your stories in the comments. It's the right thing to do.